What, Maggie?
Why did the chicken cross the playground?
I don't know. Why?
'Cause it wanted to get to the other slide.
Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Engage, a family gaming podcast. This is episode 125, and I am your host, Stephen Duetzmann. This is the official video game and board game podcast for EngageFamilyGaming.com. EFG is a website where parents like myself and my co-hosts come together to give parents and families the information they need to get their family game on. This week, it's all about video games, and I am here with my good friend, the man behind the curtain, Jon Tomlinson. Sir, how are you?
Excellent. We haven't spoken in a fortnight.
Oh, wow. Wow. Topical, because we're talking about Fortnite tonight. Because everyone is talking about Fortnite, so we figure we might as well get in on it. But before we get too far into it, Mr. I like to jump ahead.
Yep.
I do want to take a minute before we begin to thank everybody for listening this week. We do hope the games that you've been playing have been great. I know John and I have been playing some really good stuff. So we want to make sure that this podcast is as interactive as possible. So please feel free to reach out to us on social media or shoot me an email, editor@engagefamilygaming.com, with any comments, questions, or topic suggestions, because the easy stuff, it will end eventually, I think. Although next week I'm going to PAX. So I suspect I will find some things to podcast about there. So, John, how are you? We haven't talked in a while because you've been busy, I've been busy, but we've been making things work on this here podcast. So why don't we start by going around the horn? Specifically, I want to hear about Assassin's Creed Origins and just how not family-friendly that game is. I suspected that it was literally not any kind of family-friendly, but you took the bullet for us. And how family-friendly is this game?
Normally Assassin's Creed, sometimes you could get away with some of the violence, but this one is very just gratuitous, over-the-top, God of War style violence. And there's no,
not even a little.
Yeah, not even a little bit. I did boot up the discovery mode a few minutes ago, and it's a walkthrough. So you could go everywhere. If you click a button, it'll give you more info about the space that you're in. So right now I'm on the Delta of the Nile looking around, and seagulls are flying in the background, and you could pan the camera around. It's very beautiful. Yeah. This is something where, say your older family member never was able to make it on a plane trip to Egypt or sightsee, this would be awesome. This is something that they should put in all the, whenever they start remastering the older games, they definitely need to put this in there.
I agree.
It's a nice addition.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, so the discovery mode is, we talked about it on podcasts in the past, but in case you missed that one, the discovery mode is a mode baked into the game. It is, you can buy it standalone for $20, or it's a free update to anybody that bought the game. And basically, it takes all the environments from the game and removes all of the challenge and all the combat, etc. So you just kind of get to wander around. But not only do you get to wander around and kind of sightsee, but you also get to kind of treat it like an interactive museum. So you can go on a tour that is guided, that provides information and context, etc. Super cool. We're I agree with you, John. I really hope that they do this for all of them, because the thing with Ubisoft is they put a lot of work into creating these believable historical worlds. And I said it a long time ago that it was kind of a waste that they were only letting you run around and kill things in them, as opposed to exploring them for what they are. They spent so much effort on Renaissance Italy for Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, exactly.
That, being able to just explore that in a remastered version would be amazing. So you're right. I really like that idea.
Yeah, just all the different, even England with the Syndicate episode where like you were brother and sister and wandering around England in like the 1800s.
Yep.
It was beautiful. Like all these games are like the most beautiful thing you've seen, and it's not so much a waste. It's more of you could easily write a love letter to all these places.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, they do a really good job. And I really like the idea of, like this, like I said, they put the work in, taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
So that is Assassin's Creed Origins. I have not played it myself. I know you are going to. I assume you will loan that to us when you're done. I don't want to make
absolutely.
assumptions. But that's exciting. Certainly not much for the kiddos, but I will enjoy playing through that after they go to bed.
And it's very massive. Like, I've been playing for a solid week, and my playthroughs on my days off are like 8 to 10 hours.
Yep.
And I'm barely like 2/3 of the way through the game.
All right. That's a big game. That's
It's really. This is the biggest easily.
That's kind of intense. So speaking of the exact opposite of that, I played a little bit of Kirby this week. Our oldest got it for his birthday. Kirby Star Allies for the Nintendo Switch. He and his brother, I barely have gotten an opportunity to get in there because he and his brother have been playing co-op and just not been interested in anyone else getting involved. And they are absolutely loving it. The multiplayer modes that are in there, that are in all the other games, they've been chewing on those a lot.
Didn't your middle child say that like that wasn't gonna be? He looked at it. He's like, "That's not my kind of game, Dad."
Yeah, pretty much. And then his older brother got it, and now he's super down.
Yeah, it's the best game ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played the demo, and I was like, "This is a lot of fun." Yeah. And I don't play many Kirby games. I don't think I've ever played more than an hour of a Kirby game.
This is a Kirby game, straight up, guys. It's a Kirby game. It's not really reintroducing much, right? Like, it is Kirby, straight up Kirby. It's neat because you get to, make friends with some of the enemies, and, that the combo attacks kind of change up the formula a little bit, but I don't think that's that big of a difference. It's just a neat little mechanic, nothing that really reinvents it. It is pretty. It looks very nice on the Switch. It's cool to be able to play it on the go. This game is not very hard. In fact, I kind of dozed off fighting a boss yesterday, and I still won. So like I said, Kirby is not a super challenging game, but I think that's okay, especially if you have gamers that are a little younger, or if you have, older siblings that want to play with younger siblings. The fact that they have a very forgiving game is pretty cool. It's out on the Switch. It's $60 right now. I'd say to wait, but the thing is, Nintendo games don't drop prices. So, this is going to be one of those things that is probably going to be around this for a while. But I think it's a great addition to the Switch lineup. It's not going to change the world, but, this coming holiday, when people are making decisions on what they're going to buy, this is one of those options that is going to be attractive to a lot of kids, even if it's not their first choice. I think this is going to be a great second game for a lot of people. And I think that's kind of okay. Maybe even the third game for a lot of people. But there are a lot of folks, especially kids, that have fond memories of Kirby. And I think this respects those fond memories and is pretty fun. We don't have full impressions yet. We've had the game for like 3 days. So we'll probably be talking about it more. A review probably in the next couple of weeks. But the big game that I wanted to talk about is a game called The Adventure Pals from Armor Game Studios. The Adventure Pals, there is a review on EngageFamilyGaming.com right now. The Adventure Pals is a Kickstarter game that was that's been in development for 2 or 3 years. It was made by a team in the UK, and it is the most absurd video game I have played in a very long time. Nothing makes sense and yet everything makes sense if you follow.
Yep.
So basically, you are the hero, and you explore a world with Sparkles, your pet giraffe, and your pet rock, and you platform and explore. It's kind of Metroidvania type deal, and you travel through these different levels trying to get rubies, cupcakes, and other treasures. There is a plot. It is paper thin, so you don't really got to worry about it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but your dad is kidnapped by the evil Dr. B, who flies around literally on a bee, that happens to be shaped like a refrigerator. I don't really know. I don't make the bees in this game. And his goal is to turn everyone into hot dogs. I don't know why, but he wants to turn everybody into hot dogs. Now, obviously, you don't want your dad to turn into hot dogs, so you go on a quest. I fought a pirate that was made out of literally eggs and bacon. I'm not even kidding. There's an image of that in the article.
Yeah, so basically, I told you earlier when I was looking at the article, this looks a lot like Adventure Time, which is a little bit, it leans a little bit more adult. Jake the dog actually has a song about making bacon, egg, and pancakes.
Okay. Well, I mean...
So, there's a lot of shout-outs, and reading the description on their official site, they say, if you like, the humor of a Cartoon Network or a Nickelodeon show, you would like this game. So
yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what it feels like. Really felt like, Ren and Stimpy, like that kind of stuff. But that's okay. It's also kind of hard. I don't want to say this is not a Dark Soulsian experience, right? This is not something that's really going to make you bang your head on a wall, but it's not easy. I would have had to, like I said in the review, I think I would have had more trouble with it if the game didn't kind of go out of its way to make itself a little bit more accessible. It has a very forgiving kind of mantling system, so as long as you get kind of close to the edge, you're slowed down, but you can kind of mantle back up onto the top of the platform, which I think is very cool. It caught me off guard the first couple times because I was like, oh man, I missed the jump. And I'm like, oh wait, I guess I didn't miss the jump.
Yeah.
So this is a very cool game. It's going to be $20. It's on PC, Mac, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. I think it's right
I
at
need
home
to
on the
correct
Switch.
you a little bit.
What?
It's $15 on the Switch, and it's out right now. Well, it'll be out.
Okay, it's
going to
be out by the
tomorrow
time
morning. Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. Thanks for correcting me. It's out on the 3rd, which will be when this episode releases, and it's only $15. Goodness gracious. But it'll be on the Switch, PC, Mac, and PS4 and Xbox One. I think this is a cool game to keep your eye on for when you need something lighter, right? I think there's going to be a lot of kids that got Mario Odyssey for Christmas who are going to be just kind of ramping down and looking for something new to play, and maybe Kirby isn't their jam, but they just got done with a big meaty platformer. I think this is a great game. It's only $15. It's small, but there's 105 levels in this game. I mean, it's not short by any stretch. And some of those levels are pretty intense. So I think there's a lot of game here for not a lot of money. So I think this is going to be a great addition for a lot of kids. Do I think, in the side-scrolling, not AAA platformer area, do I think it replaces Shovel Knight? No. Right? I think Shovel Knight Treasure Trove is the better game. However, I mean, that's purely objective, preference. This is a very fun game. I'm glad that I got a chance to play it. And man, is it funny. There is... that you go to a pirate town called Port Opati. And in Port Opati, there is a whale who is very concerned that she is not wearing clothes because of hashtag body shaming. Literally, she says hashtag body shaming, so you have to go find her a bikini. It's really, really... but you have the choice to not give it to her and wear it yourself. So that's just how a taste of how absurd this is. It's not even like it gets more and more crazy as the game goes on. You know what it kind of felt from a tone in a tonal way? It kind of reminded me of Stickbold. Do you remember me talking about Stickbold, the dodgeball adventure?
Yeah.
How like every time things happen, they just keep getting more and more absurd.
Yeah.
This really is what this felt like to me. Not as absurd, but pretty close. Definitely worth it, especially for $15, man. I can't, and it's on just about everything. So no matter what you're playing on, you can grab it. So that is the Adventure Pals. If you're interested in reading a review, definitely head on over to engagefamilygaming.com. It should be on the front page by the time you read this, or search for it. It'll be worth it. I think you'll enjoy yourself. Anything else? Did you play anything else recently?
I checked out Faye, which was a lot of fun, but basically, I beat all the like when you play Destiny, there's like weekly milestones, and one of them is to beat one of the raids.
Yep.
I beat both raids and achieved all my milestones in a week before the reset, because they reset every Tuesday. But I played with my clan on Wednesday that week, beat the Leviathan raid, and then on Saturday I had a bunch of friends that were at the boss for the Eater of Worlds, so they invited me. I learned how to do that raid, and now I'm like raid ready for both raids.
Nice. I love how Destiny has brought some of the language from like MMOs into like a console shooter space.
Exactly.
It's because the idea of I'm raid ready is like that shouldn't really, like, that wasn't really a thing in console gaming for a very long time. But like as someone who played World of Warcraft, like it touched my soul to hear people say things like raid ready and learning the encounters. That type of thing. It's interesting how much Destiny has done that. I do want to talk about one more game. So we've talked about a few, but I do want to talk about one more, and that is a mobile game. I don't really bring those up very often, but this one definitely deserves a shout out, and that is Polytopia. Now, Polytopia, Polytopia, is a simple, and I mean simple, strategy game. So basically, you are, it generates a map. There's two modes. There's Perfection, which is you get 30 turns and you're going for a high score, or Domination, where they put all the tribes on a map and you can fight them. You can choose one of a bunch of different tribes. There are 4 that are free. The rest of them you can spend. I think they're like $1. They are worth it. It's one of the things I like about it is the graphics are really simple. They're used kind of a voxel type deal. And the idea is you are doing all the same stuff that you would do in like a 4X like Civilization game, only it is super drilled down, and it is on a phone, and you can play it with one hand. And it's really good. It's really good.
You know what this looks like? Did you ever play Afterlife?
No.
Afterlife was a SimCity just like this, where basically you had heaven and hell.
Okay.
And you were building both of them at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I would say that is not I would say that is not a bad description. I really dig it. One of the things that I really like about it is that you can play hot seat multiplayer. So Evan and I have played hot seat multiplayer, and with that, multiple times where we played full games against each other, just passing the phone back and forth, which is pretty neat. There is online multiplayer now that is cross-platform. You just have to have bought one of the transactions in order to open it. But if you just want to play by yourself, it's completely free. Maybe spend $1 or $2 to open up some additional, clans just for, variety. But you don't even need to do that. The game is wicked fun for what it is. Recommended by friend of the show, Susan Arndt, who is who runs Genie Online. Yeah, it's a Susan Arndt special. She is the mobile game queen. Mm-hmm. And that's how I heard about it on the Twitter, and I bought it, I downloaded it within minutes. And we've been playing it for a couple of months now. Actually, I just didn't bring it up until now. We really dig it.
I think I heard her mention it on the Continue podcast.
Yes.
Also, so yeah.
Yes,
I just never got around to it because, like you and her and a lot of other people, they go, "Oh, it's out for iPhone," and if you don't say that it's out for Google, I never look it up. Just because I know they have
this one's on Android, and I know this because
I already downloaded it
because my oldest has an Android phone, so he rocks that. And he enjoys it. He just recently went on a trip to the Boston Museum of Science. It was like a 2.5-hour car ride to get up there, and him and his buddy were playing multiplayer the whole way up, which is pretty rad for a game. And people keep saying, "Oh man, kids in their phones, they're not socializing." Nope. In this case, they literally were socializing, playing the same game, passing the phone on one device, which I think is pretty rad. So, I think that's around the horn. So why don't we take a break, and then we will come back, and we're gonna rap a little bit about Fortnite. How about that?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, we'll be right back, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Engage, a Family Gaming Podcast. Yes, it is still episode 125. I'm still your host, Steven, and I'm still here with the man behind the curtain, Jon Tomlinson. And we are here with our topic this week, and that is Fortnite. So, this is just a game that I want to say it came out of nowhere, but it really didn't, because we knew about this game like in 2011 or something. Like, this has been around for a very long time. I never thought it was going to come out, and now it's kind of blowing up the whole universe. So what we have is on EngageFamilyGaming.com, I am publishing a Parent's Guide to Fortnite tonight. Now, what that is, it is a series of questions that parents asked me about what the game was about, some of the different features in the game, and I wrote those questions up. This is going to be an evolving type of FAQ, because I am certain that there will be more questions that come up as time goes on. But I thought, Mr. Tomlinson, that you and I would go through, kind of answer some of those questions, and then talk about some of the other stuff going on. I think the biggest thing is that this game is growing super fast. I don't know, did you see the stats about how Fortnite broke the record for the highest number of videos published on YouTube about a single game last month?
No, I didn't see that, but that's pretty amazing.
400,000, and this 400,000 YouTube videos were published.
That's crazy.
Which combined to 11 million hours of watched time, with the amount of people watching it,
wow.
Which is crazy talk. Just absolutely crazy talk. But it is what it is, right? This game is crazy. So what is Fortnite? I guess is the first thing that people ask me. It was asked at my talk at the Meriden Public Library over the weekend. People are like, what the heck is this Fortnite thing? Well, I'll tell you. Fortnite is a third-person shooter developed and published by a company called Epic Games that is taking the world by storm. Many people who think of Fortnite right now recognize it for its Battle Royale mode, which is the game that most kids are playing. This is a Hunger Games style mode where 100 players are dropped onto a map with little or no equipment. Their job is to search the map, get equipment, get building materials, and eventually be the last man or woman standing. It also happens to be free and pretty polished and fun. This is so kids are all over it. This is a game mode that was put in direct response to the success last year of a game called PUBG, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that still has millions of players, but Fortnite is just kind of making it, being second best to Fortnite doesn't really mean a lot, right? Because there's still a lot of room to be successful, but Fortnite is crushing it. What do you think? You've played both, right?
Yeah, well, I've only played the PUBG mobile version, and I got like fourth place.
Okay.
The PUBG is basically a more realistic graphic style, so it's more adult, more contemporary, more blood and violence.
Whereas Fortnite, I mean, you're shooting, and it's basically like sparks. And when enemies, when you shoot your enemies, they kind of fall down into like a glow, and then they disappear. So it is intended to be a friendlier experience. Now, my wife, who many of you have listened to on the podcast, does not particularly care for this game. In fact, our oldest is not allowed to play Fortnite, much to his chagrin. But what are you going to do? It's T for teen. He's only 12, and she is not particularly interested in it. But that's the Battle Royale mode. There is actually a single player mode, or like a traditional video game mode, quote unquote, that is called Save the World. And that is a mode where up to 4 players can work together to go to different areas on the map and do kind of all the same stuff, just they're working as a group to try and save survivors and build defenses to defend themselves against these hordes of zombies that show up at the end of every map. I've played this game enough to know I like how it feels. It's interesting, being able to run around. The aiming is good. The shooting is pretty fun. But it's complicated. I don't know how these kids do it.
Yeah, because basically it is like an open world Hunger Games shooter, but then it's Minecraft also. So that's the big takeaway for that, because the kids love the Minecraft building things, and you're building things while fighting other people. And I've seen places where a guy's like running up building stairs to nowhere and getting chased, and then all of a sudden the guy at the top of the stairs boxes him in and just takes him out.
Yeah, no, the winning strategy is to eventually build a giant tower around yourself as you jump up in the air, so that you have a better vantage point on your opponents. And watching some of these guys build these crazy towers, because when you get eliminated, you can watch somebody go, and eventually, you can watch whoever is going to win, or whoever's beaten by the person who wins. It's crazy watching them build some of these things, and that's in the Battle Royale mode. In the Save the World mode, it's straight up Minecraft. I mean, you're gathering materials so that you can build, death traps and mazes and things like that to try and drive the enemy through, and then you can interact with them by, throwing grenades and shooting them and things like that. So it's all the while, dealing with a storm that is kind of determines the edge of the map that occasionally summons like a massive wave. Super interesting. I think everybody owes it to themselves. So, especially if their kids want to play, look up a YouTube video, see how the game plays. The Battle Royale mode is free. The Save the World mode is $40. So right now, but they have indicated that towards the end of the year, they're going to make it free to play. So, keep that in mind before you dump $40 down. So the Battle Royale mode, that's what's really driving the success, I think. This game has already been featured on Good Morning America, the Today Show, We saw the number of hours that were watched last month just on YouTube. It's highly successful on Twitch. In fact, recently, Twitch streamer Ninja broke the record for the most concurrent viewers on a stream by having the rapper Drake on his stream playing with him. And there were more than 500,000 people watching it, which the previous record before was like 250,000 or so. That just shows the mainstream power of this game right now, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping. Especially now that it plays on mobile, because lots of kids have phones. Oy, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So one of the big questions that comes up, because obviously the battle royale mode is like a multiplayer mode, is they talk about like, can your kids talk to strangers in the game? And I think, having played it, I think you can agree, like, I think the answer is kind of yes and no, right? Like, if you're playing by yourself, technically there is, like, proximity chat kind of stuff going on. Yeah. But, you're not really communicating with these people meaningfully because you're opponents. So I think that outside of talking trash, which is a problem for some kids, and obviously your kids better than me, but do you agree with me on the only time you would ever really have to worry about them communicating heavily with strangers is if they were like going into the battle royale mode like as a squad and just queuing up with random people?
Well, that, and also you have to remember, if you're playing it on console, I'm pretty sure you can't do it on mobile, but when you're playing on console, you're able to add people and message people, and you just have to make sure that your privacy settings are updated for your child's account. Absolutely.
This is one of those games that if they're not careful, they can get start interacting with other players. Update the game, update your settings on your console. Turn off voice chat. This is a game where voice chat is not necessary, especially if you're playing by yourself. So if your kid is playing by themselves, don't even worry about the voice chat. It doesn't matter. Just kind of go on in, do what you got to do. It is because you don't really need it for. In fact, I think it might be kind of a distraction having it in the main game. So where can you play it? Right now, like, it's PC, Mac, PS4, Xbox One, as well as mobile. It's iOS only right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only reason I haven't played more of it, because I have very odd hours and I don't have an iPhone. So I always have free time to check out new games, but not until it comes to the Android
version.
Yeah. They said it's coming.
Yeah, they said it's coming. I also think it's coming to the Switch. Because
you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. If it can run on a phone.
Yeah, it definitely can run on Switch, but like, I know how, not so much against, but like, how much trouble like massive games like that are on the Switch.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I think a big piece of it is the online infrastructure.
Yeah.
But we got to pay for something this September because they're going to start charging us. So we may as well, I think Fortnite would be a pleasant addition in September. Talking to the wife about this, she said that she was concerned because it was a little violent for Nintendo. And I was like, well, Doom is on this thing. So
yeah, there's much more violent games on Nintendo already.
Yeah, so once she saw that there was Doom running on this thing, she kind of, she's like, all right, well, I guess maybe it'll come on there. So the, for those interested, I mean, we talk about the violence a bit. It is rated T for teen for violence. And the rating summary is pretty clear. You're building forts, gathering resources, and battling monsters or other players. And you use all manner of weapons like guns, swords, and grenades. So yeah, it's The battles are highlighted by frequent gunfire, explosions, and cries of pain because people get shot. So that is so that's Fortnite, guys. I mean, it's an overall thing. So here is what we're doing. This is our kind of plan. We have our our parents' guide. It's written going up. We're also capturing footage, and we're going to put up a parent's perspective video very soon. So that is something to kind of look forward to. And then we're going to play it by ear. My big question and concern is I don't want to overdo it and talk about it too much. So if you are interested in more information about Fortnite, please reach out, send us your questions, and we will be sure to answer them. So that's Fortnite. Mr. Tomlinson, what do you think about talking about some Nindies? You want to talk about some Nindies?
I love the Nindies, so...
we talked about Fortnite. Let's talk about, and we think it's coming to Switch, but let's talk about some games that we know are coming to Switch. So, last week was GDC, the Game Developers Conference, and at that event, Nintendo announced they held a mini direct, and by mini direct, I ain't even kidding, it was like 12 minutes long. And it announced a series of independent games that are all going to be coming out over the course of the year. I went through and picked out what I think are the most the family-friendly games out of the announcement. And I thought we would just kind of go through some of them. The first is a game called Fantasy Strike. It is a fighting game that currently is on Steam. Basically, it takes standard fighting game controls and simplifies them so that you can focus more on, just the strategy and the combat. In fact, the best way to reverse a throw, for example, in Fantasy Strike is to not push any buttons. Rather than give you complex button pushes, you just drop your controller basically, and you can reverse throws. That's the kind of simple decisions they've made. It's very neat. Like I said, it's out on Steam already, so I think this will be a neat addition to the Switch. Next, and I know you saw this one, John, is Just Shapes and Beats. The bullet hell rhythm game that is coming to the Switch. This game looks absolutely insane. I have an appointment to play it at PAX this coming week. It's from Berserk Studios. Basically, it is a rhythm game where you are, kind of traversing through the various levels, trying to avoid, bullets and various other obstacles that are like all over the place on the screen. You're trying to avoid them, but everything is set to music. And it's some of it's original music, etc. So this game, mostly you're just a square on a screen. So it's like really crazy Pong, and I kind of can't wait for it.
Yeah, crazy asteroids.
All right, yeah, crazy asteroids is probably the right. Well done. Yeah. Well done. I approve of that. So next is a game called Pool Panic from Adult Swim Games. It's a super quirky, action puzzle game, where you are playing pool on non-traditional surfaces, like fields, asteroids, etc. And all of the pool balls have legs and faces. So you're just knocking them around, and they all look really panicked when they're spinning around and whacking into each other. It looks neat. It's a puzzle game type of experience where you're trying to play pool, but you're playing on a weird playing field. So that's kind of neat. That's coming out this summer. Next is Bomb Chicken. Did you see the Bomb Chicken game?
Yeah, I saw Bomb Chicken. That looked fun.
Tell us about Bomb Chicken.
So Bomb Chicken is basically a 2D side scroller with Bomberman mechanics.
Yep.
So if you've ever played Bomberman, and if you've ever played, like we say, Metroidvania games, that That's what it is. Just those two things put together. And you could literally lay a bunch of bombs and get yourself up high and then knock them into a bunch of bad guys.
Yeah, no, I thought, you know what? What's crazy about this is it's just called Bomb Chicken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this could have been called something really stupid, and they were like, nah, we're just going to call it Bomb Chicken. This is a very simple looking game. But what I like about it is that it's easy to wrap your head around what you're supposed to do, right? Like, you use the bombs, you lay big stacks of them to try and get yourself up to higher ledges. The problem is that your little platform there blows up underneath you. I think this is one of those games that I hope it's good. Like, I really legitimately hope that it is good. But even if it's not, I think it might be good for a fun evening.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
because it's kind of stupid. I like stupid games, folks. You should know this by now.
Yeah, we both do.
Yeah. So next is Luminous, man. Luminous, which is a puzzle game that is not unlike Tetris. I think there's at least some room in there. That is it's a puzzle game, not unlike Tetris, that was originally associated with the PlayStation brand. I think its most popular versions were on the PlayStation Portable. That's how much of a deep cut this is. They remastered it, put it on HD, gave it a nice polish on the sound and music department, and here we go. It's coming to everything, but it's definitely going to be wonderful on the Switch tablet. This it's coming out this summer, and I can't wait. What'd you say?
Can I make a confession?
What?
I have my own Switch and I play a lot at work.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time I'm playing Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Listen, Puyo Puyo Tetris is real good.
Don't sleep on Puyo Puyo Tetris. It's easily the game that you just pop open your Switch like, oh, I got 10 minutes to be distracted. And I just end up playing for like hours and like I'm sitting there like, what? Why am I wasting my time with this game? But I can't stop.
Because it's really good.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Amazing game.
You never underestimate the power of puzzle games that are all just dropping blocks everywhere. So next is Lightfall. This is another game that I'm going to be playing at PAX. I'm going to be playing a lot of these, actually. Lightfall, this game looks like it's going to break my head. Basically, it is a fast-paced platforming game designed for speed running where you can create platforms either underneath you or in front of you, which is bananas. So you control the hero that moves really, really fast, and you have to think quickly and strategize. And it has leaderboards, because of course they do. This is one of those games that's coming out this spring, so it should be out soon. Hopefully, they'll be able to tell me the release date while I play it at PAX. And I think the last of the family-friendly games, because they did announce a bunch of games, but not all of them were particularly suited for our audience. But I think the last one is The Messenger. Did you see that one?
Yeah. That one was one of the most unique games that I heard about from this Nintendo Nindies showcase. Just the fact that you hit a button and you go back from 8-bit to 16-bit to like travel basically through time to unlock different areas. Yeah.
No, it's basically The Messenger is like an 8-bit. It looks like an 8-bit game. It's obviously not one. And it starts that way. And you finish the game once. Then you get to the end. And then essentially you play through the game again, but this time you can move back and forth between 8 and 16-bit. This feels to me like Shovel Knight, not in the same like quirky humor way, but in the way that this is like a really gorgeously drawn 8-bit game that takes advantage of modern hardware and really celebrates a specific bunch of games from our past. Specifically, this feels like Shinobi, Ninja Gaiden. I love me some ninja games. It looks super cool. There's progression. There's cool weapons. I super dig this. Excuse me. It's launching on Switch this summer. I have a appointment to play this game at PAX 2. Fun fact, this game's PR person is Geneviève Saint-Onge Miller, or Greg Miller's wife. So that should be interesting. I think I get to meet her. I don't know. That's weird. I'm pretty sure I botched the horrific botching of her name by him, but whatever. She's Canadian, so he just does stuff. But yeah, this is a pretty neat. It's a super neat game. I'm getting Shovel Knight vibes. Obviously, it is not. It's obviously going to be more serious than that, but I'm a fan. Which of these are you looking forward to playing the most?
What was the one? The one that we talked earlier about. What did we talk before the break? The one that you reviewed. My brain.
You mean Adventure Pals?
Yeah, Adventure Pals.
All right, so you're more excited about Adventure Pals than any of the ones they announced at the Nindies?
Well, Adventure Pals is still technically a Nindie, but I like all these games and I'm glad to see them there. But a lot of the stuff that like ends up being like Shovel Knight and that, like I want to support it and I want to buy it, but I don't really get that far in those kind of games. So I kind of have been learning my mistakes because I end up buying everything. So like there's nothing here yet for me except for maybe something like Adventure Pals, and there's another one you missed called Pod.
Yep.
Which is like a interesting platform like puzzle game.
Yeah, you know what?
That's very beautiful.
I left that one out because it looked a little on the creepy side, but yeah, I mean that's one that as it comes closer to being out, we'll probably talk about it.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, every week a new giant stack of games comes to the Nintendo Switch. It's crazy to think about it. So that's it. So what about that is all of the relevant news. There's obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more during our next video game podcast about not only PAX but giving some of our impressions of Sea of Thieves. But in the meantime, next week we're going to be talking about board games. Specifically, I'm going to have a guest, Andrew of the Family Gamers, and we're going to be talking about Fireball Island, because that is, we're going to be playing that at PAX this weekend, which I think is actually pretty exciting.
Yeah, that game was just, every time I watch the trailer, every time I look at that game, it's just like, I really want that game. It looks so it takes you back to those games where the board itself was better than playing the game.
Yeah.
Stuff like I think we all had more enjoyment of building Mousetrap, even if we never played the board of Mousetrap.
Yeah. So I have been fortunate enough to get a view of the actual Kickstarter campaign before it has gone live, and that is it is wild. They really are trying their best to make it a game that plays like we remember it, not how it actually played. So I agree with you. The board was way more fun than the actual game itself. I don't know that is going to be the case, because it's going to be wild. It might be a little expensive. We're going to find out. I think all in it's about $130, but I think it's when we see what it looks like being played, I think folks that are interested in it will enjoy themselves. So, anyway, that's enough about next week. I think it's probably time to sign off. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So everybody, thank you very much for listening this week. We do hope that you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed recording. Like I said, we're going to be back next week for more fun. We're going to talk about board games with a special guest. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Fireball Island. But in the meantime, it'd be super sweet if you could head on over to iTunes or wherever you download us and leave us a review. Also, our podcasts are published on our YouTube channel that you can get to by going to engagefamilygaming.com/YouTube. We would absolutely love it if, when you get a moment, you go there and drop a like and maybe a comment on our podcast there. Even if you don't listen there, I know it sounds weird and counterintuitive, but it would help us greatly. So, thank you very much for listening to that little ask. Until next time, this is Steven and the man behind the curtain, and we're signing off. But don't forget to get your family game on. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye now.
70 days till E3. Get hype.
Is it really 70?
Yep.
Thank you for listening to Engage, a family gaming podcast.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next week.